Welcome to She Loves the Grid, where we discuss all things F1. Whether it's happening on the track, in the paddock, or beyond the grid, we'll talk about it all. And here we are. Welcome back. She Loves the Grid. I'm Claire.
I'm Diane.
And the Canada GP is over. It is my Sunday night, your Sunday
afternoon.
Yeah. Afternoon. Sunday afternoon still for Canada. Oh my gosh. I think that's got to be one of the most exciting races for the season.
Yes. All I kept thinking even during qualifying is this is really one of the best seasons since like 2021 because it is like we talked about this well, not last week because we didn't record last week, but the week before after Monaco, how there's just so many cool stories that are happening. And then here comes Canada, and we've got a bazillion cool stories from this week. So
much. And while, I mean, some people are going to moan and complain that
Max won.
I mean, spoiler alert, Max won. But
yeah, but Max won, but it was not a given. It was
an exciting weekend. It was an exciting race. There was a lot of like competition. It was so good. It was so good. It was so good.
And honestly, like I don't care if Max wins, as long as he's not 20 seconds ahead like he was last year. Like this is way more fun.
He had to work for it. Which was awesome.
Before
we started, how was your week?
I don't know. How was my week?
How was your 2 weeks? Because we haven't been on for 2 weeks.
I know. Well, my mom was here. When did she leave? This past week. And yeah, work is busy as always. And I think it will be. And yes, now just spent this weekend mostly just relaxing. And yeah, now I got to get ready, gear up for Barcelona. So
because we see each other in a few days. It's just days away. It's just days away.
And talk about like, I think that race is going to be amazing. Anyways, how was your week? And then you've got to tell us about your day today because
So I've been adjusting to being semi-retired, I guess is what I'm calling it, because I still have my consulting business that I'm working with, but it's just less stressful. So it's kind of like feeling like I'm retired because I don't have to work like a million hours a week, which is kind of cool. Yeah. That's been fun. And then, today I'm wearing my F1 shirt because I didn't want to be rooting for any one particular team, but I met some ladies. There's this group. I joined a bunch of Facebook groups and whatnot, being in Berlin and trying to eventually go out and meet people. As much as people think I'm an extrovert, I think I'm an introverted extrovert or an extroverted introvert. I don't know what you want to call it, but I went out and met three ladies today, 4 by happenstance that are also F1 fans. So we met out and I got to meet them. So hi, ladies. I told you I would mention you. I'm not going to mention you by name because I didn't get your permission on that. But it was so much fun. We met at Belushi's, which is this cool little pub that's a chain pub in Europe. And what's funny is that India and Pakistan, I guess, are in a cricket match right now. So that game was upstairs and F1 was downstairs. And so there was all kinds of cheers. So it was amazing to see the crowd's energy when different things were happening today. So it was really cool to see that because I've never experienced that. So
that's really cool. That's really cool. And I think it's great that you said like they were really into it.
Yeah, they knew. Like it was so cool. It's not just me and you. It's my first experience outside of you and my partner and whatnot to like hear people like talking about the technology. Like because these are ladies who are engineers. It sounds like, and they're like into the technology and what's going on and the strategy and why the tires and like when we'll talk about later about like how Haas came out on wets and how that was different and. It was so cool because we were all talking that, right? It was so exciting what we wanted to do, what your vision of She Loves the Grid, in which they were excited to hear about. It was like really talking about everything that encompasses what's so special about F1.
Yeah.
So it was so cool. It was so cool.
That's awesome. I think I said to you a little bit ago, like, I want to go, but it's hard to do that from here.
They were like, is your friend in Berlin? And I'm like, not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Anyway, so let's get to this weekend.
I know, this week. Oh my gosh. What?
Where do we start?
Okay, very quickly, I do have to say, because we fully support women racing, just a quick announcement that Jamie Chadwick, who is under Williams, actually was on pole and won an Indy NXT race today. Yes. I think it was Road America was the race, but she's only the third woman in Indy NXT history to win a race. So yay, Jamie Chadwick. I love it.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. Okay, silly season. Let's just very quickly. Wow. Ocon, that was announced. Well, first we thought they were not going to let him race. And allegedly, that is what their team principal, Bruno Famin, I don't know how you say his last name, but that's how I'm going to say it, wanted. He wanted to suspend him, but the legal team for Alpine allegedly stepped in and said, nope. They were concerned that Esteban might show up in Montreal anyways with a lawyer and kind of nixed that. So they did let him race, but they also let Jack Doohan take FP1. I don't know if that was planned ahead of time or not. I don't think that it was. But they came out, Alpine, Ocon, and said they've mutually agreed to part ways. After this year, he's going to be no longer with Alpine. So,
yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of conversation. Well, we can talk about this later with the race, but he definitely had some things to say, Esteban did, after the race today. So that's going to be interesting. But Ocon out. But Sergio in, which is a little surprising for a 2-year contract with Red Bull.
Very. And the rumors are interesting because I've heard so many rumors. It's like Red Bull. The big rumor I've heard recently is that he has so much sponsorship. It's the money.
Yeah. Which I'm sure it is. It's the same at every team. That we hear that about Yuki and Honda, and like Sainz has a lot of money. And you look, I mean, so many of the drivers have backing. They just do. And if Sergio does come with that much money, and he's been a good teammate. And when he's on, he's up there. But to me, I don't have a problem with that. I think people were like dogging him. If that is true, so what? They all do. They all have sponsors. That's how they got there.
It's just interesting. And then he just had a really bad race today. So he's so inconsistent lately. It's just he signed. So he just like so many. I feel like a few racers' dreams were dashed today because there's like Yuki, Danny, Sainz. There's several that were like looking at that seat and it's gone. But then part of me is like, I just don't. I still see an opportunity for Max to go somewhere suddenly and it just like upset the whole world. But then he probably will stay. But there's still, I think there's just there's that world where he just decides to just upset the whole apple cart and freak everybody out and move, and then everybody's like, what the, oh my gosh. But anyway.
I would kind of love Max even more. He's growing on me a lot, but I would kind of love him for that. And the only place that he could go really is Mercedes, and Toto would welcome him with open arms. Oh. Toto has said like youth is
Toto would wet himself.
What?
Toto would wet himself.
For sure. But I don't see at this point. I don't see Max leaving, and I don't even know how. I don't know what the right word is. Like how strong signs. What were they really talking to the point that they would replace Perez? I think like Christian Horner likes to get out there and say things, and can't stand him, but. I think he likes to talk it up, and I'm sure they had conversations. Every driver's having conversations with people, but I don't think they were that serious I don't think so at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no. And then who else? Well, then there was Carlos, because all these rumors came out this week with Carlos and Williams. And first it was like, it's done. He signed it. It'll be announced the week going into Barcelona. It's a done deal. Then James came out and said, no, they're talking to 2 different drivers, but no one has signed. And then James kind of spent the whole weekend media flirting with Carlos, talking about like, yes, they do want him, and pumping up like the Williams brand and pumping up, honestly, Carlos's ego. And Carlos even came out and said he has not signed anywhere yet. So I don't know. I think it's still between him and Stake, but what I've heard about Stake / Audi is they want, they will only do a multi-year deal. And I don't know if that's what Sainz wants to do, but I still think he needs to sign a multi-year deal because everybody's signing multi-year deals. So unless you have somebody go completely awry and a team is like, we're going to use our clause to get out of this with the driver. I mean, right now, off the top of my head, the only place he could go is VCARB because Yuki signed. That was announced yesterday on Saturday, but it's just for 2025. So it's a 1-year deal. You could go to VCARB now. So why would you go to another team and then go to maybe VCARB next year? Everybody else, all those top teams have multiple years.
And I don't see him going to VCARB. Like he was art. Like, why would you want to go to their baby team? Like, I don't want to call it a baby team, but why would you? Like, I
love baby
I don't know.
No, I agree with you. But also, like, why go to Williams? I mean, that's all that's left is tier 2 teams, as far as I'm concerned. Like that's
other than seeing the potential of Williams getting back to their heyday. But and there's so much talk of Toto wooing or bringing Kimi Antonelli in to take the last seat in Mercedes.
Yes, Kimi will be there. Toto said that's what they're focusing on.
Yeah,
the youth is what they're focusing on. Kimi is
the only thing that would ever be like the shocker of anything, and it's not going to happen, is if Lance decides to not race. And then there would be an opening at Aston Martin because, he's like everyone's like, oh yeah, that's just going to happen because he's Papa Stroll's kid. But like if he decided, I don't want to race anymore, then that would be the wild card. Yes. But that's not going to happen this year.
Yeah. I don't think Aston Martin will ever tell Lance he needs to go. But I think, like you just said, Lance could say like, I'm done. Like, I don't think he's definitely not into the social media aspect of anything. Like he just goes and does his job, and that's all he wants to do. The other rumor that I heard yesterday, I think it was, is that Hyundai is interested in buying an existing F1 team. Have no clue if that's true or not, but Hyundai. So, could happen. I don't know. We'll see. Let's talk about the special lids because there was a couple. Daniel. The
maple syrup.
Maple Dan. I love that. Looks like
I love it. Pour it over. That makes me want pancakes or waffles right now.
Right. Yes. Hopefully that's actually, is that really like a brand? Maple Dan?
I don't know, but the maple syrup, the maple syrup looks so good. Like seriously, it's 1:45 a.m. as we're recording right now. And I literally want some maple syrup badly right now.
Well, tell Robbie to get it together.
So cute. That's so cute with it coming down the side of his helmet and everything. That's right. Adorable.
It's really, really adorable. It's very cute, very perfect for Canada.
Yeah.
Smart move. But yeah, just like I thought when we recorded a couple weeks ago, I didn't think there would be a lot of special lids. Last year there was quite a few. This year, no. But nice one, Daniel. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Lance's is interesting. I expected him a special one, but I mean, I love black, but I just expected more.
Yes.
It's sleek. It's very sleek.
It's very sleek. Yeah, I think the black and gold and whatever the Metro supply chain company he's shilling for. We should have looked up if his dad is connected to that. It's their colors, it looks like, and so it's nice. But like I was saying before, like Lance, I mean, usually drivers are like, here's my helmet. And the teams are like, here's their helmet. None of that for this. He didn't announce anything. So I think it's very weird. Like this was his home race. And all I saw was like, he was basically doing a bunch of commercials for Canadian companies. That's all they posted about. I'm not saying that he didn't do anything else. He usually takes the team to, a favorite restaurant that his dad always took him to and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure they did all of those things. It just was not shared.
Yeah, it was you expect more. But
Yeah.
that was about it.
It's all right. We'll look forward to Carlos and his special helmet. And I'm sure he'll have one. Yay.
I'm sure he will.
All right, let's jump into quali in the race. Like, there's definitely more stuff that we can talk about, but we could probably save it for next week. There's a whole lot of stuff about the 2026 regulations and potential teams not being happy about that, but I feel like we can talk about that next week.
Yeah, we can talk about it because it's an off week, so I agree. So let's keep it short for that. So practice was practice. I mean, there was tons of rain. They didn't get to do much. That was the big talk about it all. Joe crashed out so many times. It's not like we're talking about it.
Oh my gosh, Joe.
I was talking to the women I was talking to tonight. It's like the two people I don't expect to see next year is Joe and Sargent. They're just
Sargent for sure. And I was I feel like in the past few months I've been on the, what Joe hasn't been able to show us anything because of the car, but I feel like this weekend more than any other weekend, I was sitting watching thinking maybe he's just not supposed to be in F1. He was dead last. I think the whole race, he crashed out twice in practices, and it was just not.
He just wasn't much last year either. Like, it's just.
But I think that was more the car, and he did do all right. And earlier this year, there was some times where he did all right, but I don't know. There was something about this weekend that I just thought, I don't know. And I love that. I love Joe.
Yeah, I do too, but I think it's the combination of that and it's a business too, and like Danny Rick, there's a whole thing with Villeneuve was giving Danny Rick grief this week, but Danny's a brand and Danny brings people to the sport. Joe, other than in China, is not bringing a lot of people to the sport. And if you're not bringing people and you're not bringing sponsors like Yuki does, where Yuki's got Honda behind him, I don't know if Joe has any big people behind him. I honestly don't know. It could. I don't know. I don't know how secure he is in the sport right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think that in the Chinese market, he's bringing a lot of fans. And, and that's huge. And I know when they were in China, he was talking about how they are really trying to figure out how they can do more in motorsport. So, I don't know, but this weekend more than any, I was like, I don't know about this. I don't know.
Practice was, to me, all that sticks out practice was Joe bombing out twice. So it's just
that
all right, was quali.
Woo, my goodness. So we thought there was going to be rain in Q1. There wasn't really rain in Q1. No. Stroll, he hit the wall, right?
Yeah.
The wall champions. But he was really going for it. Like, I feel like this is my home race, and I'm going to do it.
I almost feel like he was proving I don't know, he was just showing that he's meant to be there. Not that he had a chip on his shoulders, but he was just being that F1 racer he's supposed to be. He's just being an F1 racer. Like, he was just not being quiet, but he was being good and there, like present and there, and really showing his worth.
Yeah. Which, I mean, he's outperformed Alonso the last 3 races. So I've never been one to be like,
Alonso's better today.
Lance doesn't deserve to be there. He did really good in F2 and stuff. And like, he's outperformed Alonso multiple times this year. Like, so it's, it's just one of those things. But the
people who got out during Q1 were shocking.
I know, but before that, like, the cars were all over the place. So at one point, with like 2:36 left in Q1, in the top 9, you had Ocon, Gasly, and Sargent. Like, Sargent, he was doing so good in qualifying, Sargent. Like, I was like, what? He kept popping up there. Like, he was happy. But like you said, the people that went out, I mean, one of the people that went out, some of the others I feel like were a little,
I was shocked that Perez went out, and I mean, actually, I was a little shocked for Hulkenberg too because he's been doing quite well in quali. So I expected
Magnussen went through, so that was really strange that Hulkenberg did not.
Joe, I expected because like I talked about, Joe's just not. Bottas, kind of. I mean, he's in quali. He's been doing fairly well. I was kind of a little shocked on that. Ocon,
he's mostly been out in Q3.
Yeah.
I mean Q1 a lot. But
I mean,
Perez,
for that Alpine, but Perez, that was wow.
Yeah. Back-to-back Q1 exits. To me, this was like, remember last year when he started really good and then he just went, I feel like we're at that again. Like he started really well and it was like 1-2 Red Bull and he's looking good. And then it's been downhill. He was literally pounding on his halo while he was still on the track. He was so frustrated. But Yuki was in second and Alpine was in fourth and Sargent was in fifth.
That's crazy.
Or ninth. Not fifth, ninth. Yeah. That was crazy. Yeah. And then in Q2, Russell, his holy moly.
Holy moly. I love that.
Which is funny. I was like, I say that all the time. I
wrote that. I think you were writing it at the same time. Like, holy moly.
Holy moly. That was incredible. Yeah. Williams was struggling with or Albon was struggling with his stuff. And Ferrari, like, I mean, we saw it during practice.
Max was struggling a little bit. Well, Max seemed to be struggling a little bit too, right? His car.
Yeah. That was crazy. But to have both Ferraris go out in Q2, WTF. Like Sainz had that snap at the end of his lap, which if he didn't have that, he would have gone through to Q3, but he had that. So they were both on used soft tires. The tire degradation, that's an issue. That was, but it's the first time since 2021 that both Ferraris have not made it to Q3. Or at least one of the Ferraris, not both Ferraris, but at least one Ferrari has not made it to Q3. Crazy. But again, you have Yuki in fourth. Alex Albon was up to sixth. And a fun fact for you, even though Sargent did not make it to Q3, he's been out-qualified by Alex Albon his entire time at Williams. So 30 races to 0. But Sargent has out-qualified Perez 6 different times in his F1 career.
But Perez got his contract at Red Bull, so.
Yes. So what does he care?
I saw a bunch of comparisons between Sargent and Perez. It was an interesting weekend. And you could just imagine, like, I feel bad for Sargent because he sees all that. And he's just like, yeah, but he's not going to have a seat next year.
He knows that. I mean, I'm sure he knows it. He knows either they've signed somebody or if James is saying, yeah, we're talking to 2 drivers and they're not talking to you. Yeah. Like, well, it's not me. Yeah. So just enjoy the rest of the year. That's all I can say. Like, Logan, just take it in, do your best, and enjoy the rest of the year. Maybe you'll go race in Indy or something. Like, you never know.
That'd be a good place for him.
He's got a rich family, so they can find him someplace else to go.
Well, Q3 was pretty exciting too. It's just been an exciting whole weekend. Like, I don't know, but Q3 was pretty cool. Yeah, I think.
And we were expecting rain, and then there was no rain.
And there was no rain. The weather was so interesting the whole weekend.
So weird. It really was. It
really was.
But Stroll, like, he made it into Q3 for the first time at his home Grand Prix. So yay!
It's the first time in a long time too. But that was great.
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, that really was incredible. And then George and Max having the same time. Like, I was on the edge of my seat anyways, watching the cars come through because the track was just getting faster. What? The exact same time.
And that rule, whatever rule number that was, that like the first and they have this rule that you don't hear about often to be pulled out because 2 racers the exact same time. And the first time, I think they said it was the first time since they went to the 3rd decimal place.
Oh,
I thought that's what I heard.
Wow.
swear that's what I heard. First time since they went to their decimal place that they've had 2. And before that, 3 had scored the exact same, but they were only in 2 decimal places. Yeah, so it's in the order that you achieve it. So that's where it's important to get out there first.
Yep. It's so true. It's so true. But yeah, like it was crazy that happened, especially because, like you said, like Max had his issues all weekend, but then he did keep popping up, towards the top. But for that to happen, like what? That is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Daniel ended up out qualifying Yuki. That's the second time that happened this year. And the top 3 cars were separated by 200ths of a second.
Insane.
For the second. Talk about like finally all the cars are competitive. Like you're that close.
Exciting. It made it exciting.
Yes.
And then the race did not give. I mean, like it just continued to be exciting. It was not what a clean. Are we ready for the race? Because
do it.
What a clean start. Like it was not. I mean, there was a little bit of mix up at the very back of the pack, but it was still a very clean start. We didn't have like lap 1. We're all falling apart. We've got a red flag or anything. It was like
I was waiting. With George in the front row, you never know.
Me too. I was like, and I'm out at the bar, so the first time ever that I'm watching it live, and I was like so freaked out because did I miss something? Did I miss something? No, literally nothing bad happened. Wait, can we have the replay? Nothing bad happened?
Right.
Nothing, well, I get at the end of the pack, but at the beginning, nothing bad happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? And then
George had an amazing start. Like I could not, like, they were all very tentative because that track was wet. It had been raining all morning. And it just seemed like they were kind of like inching forward. And I was like, oh my gosh, George got away ahead of Max. That was incredible. And, Max, like he's always going to fight going into that first corner, but George was able to stay ahead of him. It was incredible. But I definitely think we need to talk about Haas being the only 2 cars on wets while everybody else was on enters.
That the ladies I was hanging out with, that was the big talk of the table, that the wets and that strategy and how much traction they had for so long in the race. But then you could see when it cut. You could see when the degradation. You could see when the timing and the track was drying and warming up, and then the tires did not matter anymore. You could see. You could just see it. It was so cool to watch the times change. You go, ooh, they really need to get on inters. Like the wets are just not doing it anymore. But it was amazing. 10 places K-Mag had.
Yeah, and I was going to say, they on the commentary, they kept saying like, at some point it's going to start drying. The inners are going to be the tires to be on. But he was just passing people left and right. Hamilton and Alonso. And like, let me see. I think I was trying to write him down. Yeah, so it was Hamilton, Alonso. He started P14. Then he was hunting down Piastri. Past Piastri, was starting to hunt down Lando. And he had fastest lap over and over and over. Like I was sitting here watching thinking, K-Mag, like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that you're doing this. And Hulkenberg was having some success, but not nearly as successful on the wets initially as K-Mag.
Yeah, Hulkenberg went up a total. The best they did is he went up 9 spots and K-Mag went up 10.
Oh, okay. See, that's good. But they screwed up in the pits because when K-Mag went into change, 8.6 second pit stop. He came out in 12th place. He could have come out inside the top 10.
Yep.
But because of that long 8.6 pit stop, he came out in 12th place, and then they dropped to the back. Like, I mean, all the work that he did, which that's what you're supposed to do, right? Stay on wets till it starts to dry up. You pass all the cars. You put yourself up there, at least get yourself in the points. And they undid everything that he did out on track.
It was comical. That pit stop was comical. Literally, it looked like one person stood there going, "What am I supposed to be doing?" Like they weren't ready. They weren't ready for him to change his tires. It was.
How are you not ready?
Sad. It was so sad. It
How
was.
are you not
like
ready?
The cameraman's there. Why aren't you ready? The cameraman's there, ready for you to change tires. Why aren't you?
Yeah.
Like it was sad. I felt so bad for him because K-Mag had such controversy over the last couple of races, and to be like so on it, so clean.
Yeah.
Really just showing it how to put that heat to it, and just
it was so fun to watch. It was so fun to watch. I'm like, he's passing. The Haas is overtaking a McLaren. It's overtaking a Mercedes. It's overtaking an Aston Martin.
everybody.
It was so exciting to watch. And then they just all,
He was right. He was writing how it's supposed to be done, and it's just
it was crazy. But Hulkenberg, here's the one thing that drives me nuts about the Haas cars is Hulkenberg had a train going from 7th place all the way down to 4th. So 7 cars. He's just because he was on those wets and he hadn't come in. And then finally, cars started to pass him. But it was like, dude, you're holding everybody up. And everyone was at least 16 seconds behind Hamilton, who was in 6th place. And it's like, I mean, then we have the safety cars, but it's like, come on, you can't do that. I mean, you can do that, but like, stop doing that. Let's just stop doing that. Ridiculous, but nice beginning. Good strategy at the beginning. Just did not.
Totally agree.
The way I think they were hoping that it would work out. Let's talk about really quickly. I guess who I want to talk about. Alpine, because this is killing me, the Esteban Ocon interview afterwards. So
I missed that because I was on the train ride back.
So Alpine, they actually got double points, 9th and 10th place. So that's major, especially for when in like their little battle down there at the bottom of the constructors, because Williams had both cars DNF, and we can talk about them next, but both cars DNF. So Alpine getting double points is major for the constructor back there. Esteban started at the back and made up 10 places. Because remember, he had that grid drop from Monaco. Yeah. So he started at the back. I thought it was a good job. But Esteban was not happy with finishing in 10th. He said he was very excited the team got double points. He was very proud of himself, basically, from going from last to 10th and getting in the points. And then he said that he did his job. He's a team player. He's a nice guy. And then said he's too nice because they made him let Pierre through. So Pierre got an extra point that Ocon felt he should have had. And so he said he had to let Pierre go through at the end. Ocon made sure to say that he has always followed race instructions from the team. But he's not happy because Pierre was never going to catch Daniel in 8th place. He was never going to catch him. So why did he have to let Pierre through? And he also noted that he lost a point because of that. So I was like, whoa. I get it. I fully get it. But you're gone next year. I get Ocon not being happy about that. But you're gone next year. They're going to obviously prioritize Pierre the rest of the season. And I don't think that even though Ocon has been the more successful driver this year, even after what he did in Monaco, he's still the most successful driver. And he was in line to get 9th place, more points. So I get being very upset. But I don't think that having that kind of a conversation with the media is going to help things run smooth the rest of the season. This was only, round 9? We have 24 races. You just said all of that, and your team principal wanted to bench you for, I don't know if bench you is the right word. That might be more of a like basketball or
but the thing is at the same time, we've seen racers say stuff to the media and get in trouble for it. Like that's,
I mean, I'm sure it's a team. They're not going to be happy with him. Like, I'm sure.
I missed that. I was on the train ride back. I missed that.
Yeah, you should listen to it. It's interesting. He talked for a while. And I just thought it was so interesting how he kept throwing in there that, like, he's a team player and that he always listens to the race instructions, because that has not.
That infers to me that he's trying to say the team told him to cause Monaco, and then he's being penalized for Monaco, and then he's now.
I don't think they're saying that. I don't think he's saying that the team told him to cause Monaco. That was their whole point, was that there was race instructions and Pierre was supposed to go Pierre was supposed to be in front. And because he was trying
But if he's a team player, then he's not always a team player. So that contradicts.
No, I know, but
he's a team player if he didn't follow team instructions then.
Right. But he's trying to advocate for himself and say that they're not painting me in a fair light. That maybe he's saying like, no, there was no race instructions in Monaco, and that's what Pierre is saying. And so they're making me look bad. And I'm trying to, now I've got to get with a new team. He said there's nothing to talk about right now. He's not signed anything. But this whole thing, that's what I'm saying, is like he's out there like putting it out in the media. I follow instructions. I'm a good teammate. That was the other thing he said more than once. And he felt like he really deserved that point. So it's not going to make things smooth there, is my thought. So very, very interesting. But then kind of talking about Williams, boy, oh boy. Oh, Albon was looking so good. He was looking so good. I think he was in the points. And unfortunately, bad luck again for Williams. He just got swept up with Carlos. Carlos was trying to do something that would normally prevent that from happening, but Alex was right behind him. There was just no getting away for that. So
yeah, poor Carlos, he was like, oh, that's like his bad, and like he felt bad about it too.
Yeah, he did apologize to Alex. There's just nothing there wasn't anything that he could do, which was really sad. But what I thought was amazing is the pass that he had, where the double overtake that Alex had. Like, this makes me excited for Williams. Like, he on the outside past Daniel, and then he's like right behind Ocon, and he comes in the inside, and on that turn overtakes Ocon on the inside. It's like, what kind of move was that? That was amazing. So he went from having a really good race, most likely scoring points, which Williams needs, and
absolutely
crashing out thanks to Sainz, unfortunately. That was really, really sad. And then Sargent. He had that little thing at the beginning. Didn't he have something at the beginning of the race?
Yeah, he did. In fact, it's twice. Yeah, he caused the yellow flag early in the race, and then and again, it's so interesting because you and I, like, most of my exposure is you, and then my partner, and like very few people to be out at this pub with other people.
Yeah,
it was really interesting because the first time it happened, it's like the whole table, like, oh, Sargent. I was like, do you hear like what we say often from other people? I'm like, oh, it's not just us.
Poor Sargent. It's not just us. The whole world's like, Sargent.
Sargent.
But it makes it interesting because like that yellow flag set up a lot of things, right?
I know. And then when it comes to like when we get to McLaren, the whole
let's just talk about it, because like
the whole place, every time anything with Lando, it was like the experience of being at a bar during a football game and your team scoring, like to see every time Lando did something, or Piastri, the whole bar went nuts. It was amazing. I was like, oh, this is so cool. And all I could think of is you're at home going, Lando.
I did every time. I was like, Lando. It's funny that they're all McLaren fans, or it seems like that bar was like McLaren fans.
I don't know. Or they're just like excited for what was going on. But it was just exciting. It was just so cool because that happened, and they're like screaming. And I'm like, this is great. Oh my gosh. And of course, it was the craziest thing because of the delay. We were like 45 seconds, I think, ahead of you, because I'm like, I gotta wait.
Yeah, you were quite a bit ahead of me. I was like,
ahead of you. Yeah. They had Sky Sports on at the bar, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it was so cool.
Oh, that's amazing. That is so awesome. I think like McLaren at first, like through the first 13 laps, I was kind of like, I mean, they're just heads down and racing. Like they're just doing their thing. They didn't switch positions, nothing. It was just like, all right. But then all of a sudden, Lando starts speeding up, and it's like he's catching up. And then you see him in the, at the outside of the shot, the camera shot, and here he comes. holy moly, that was exciting. I was like, what in the world is going on? He was 2 seconds quicker than Russell and Max at that point. Like, dang, I was impressed. And he was like, that overtake of Max, amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was so incredible.
It's just the whole pitting and the way the safety car came up, it was just unfortunate. And to me, it's like all I could think of is what Max said in the last one.
Yeah, and GP said to Max during when that happened is what goes around comes around. This is payback for Miami. And
yeah, it's just the timing, because it's like I'm like I had looked down, or maybe I was grabbing my food, got ready or something. It's like, what did I miss? Like, how did the timing get so off? I was like, why did Lando pit so much later? And his pits get so off because now he's behind, and now he's just messed up. He's just too far off now. But I mean, it was so good in the end. But
yeah, I mean,
and like you said, it's so exciting because Max did not win by 20-something seconds. It was still a tight race, you know.
He didn't. But I mean, the timing of it did suck because they said virtual safety car, and so Lando's doing his thing. But right when they said actual safety car, he was just passing the pit entrance, and the safety car caught up to him, and so that slowed him down. Well, because that Sargent's crash happened not right in front of Max, but Max was coming up. Lando all of a sudden had a 10-second difference. So actually, Sargent, when he crashed where he did, saved Max and George, because they were 10 seconds behind. Then they could, virtual safety cars called, they went straight into the pits, and boom, like that was it. And then Lando, I don't know if he waited too long, but he had to go all the way around, and he's now behind the safety car. And I think that, I mean, McLaren's pit crew does a good job. And I think once he did get all the way around and came in, like they got the stuff on, got his tires on. And I'm sitting there like freaking out as you see Max coming on the track and you see Lando like coming out of the pits. And I was like, oh my God, is he going to beat him? But the tires were not warm. They were not warm enough. That it just.
And that's the thing. I had to go back and look. So this is where my rules are going to mess me. He must have pitted outside the safety car then, because you can't change positions, can you, during safety car? So he must have missed the safety car when he pitted.
No, I think the safety car was still going. I think if you go into the pits, you can totally end up.
Yeah, I'll have to go look that up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, it was just unfortunate. But anyway, yeah, but it was crazy. It was all I could think of was Max's quote about his mom and his dad and balls. But anyway.
If my mom had balls, she'd be my dad. Yeah. But I mean, GP's not. I mean, he's kind of not wrong. Like, it worked out for Lando in Miami, and in this time it worked out for Max. So I think the exciting thing is this was another podium for Lando. Like, I don't even know how many podiums he has had this year, but he's racking them up. And I think that's so exciting. And like you said, you know, Max did not run away with it. You know, for sure. I mean, Lando passing him, making it really interesting. Like, I bet Max is having fun now, finally, where people he has to race people.
That's a good point. Yeah, and you're right. They can lose positions. They just lose less time. That was what that was. They lose less time. And that was the thing we talked about tonight at the group that I was at. That it's more exciting. And Max is like, he has to be in dirty air. He has to work for his position. He has to actually work for it. It's a less,
he has to be defensive.
He has to challenge. And he's made those comments recently too. Like, I think it's more engaging and more fun for him now. So it's not. Like, he enjoys being a winner, but I think he enjoys it when he has to work for it, and it's not just a given. So this is a much more fun year. I like this year.
He's a competitor, and like, of course, you know, it's no fun. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's fun to win, but like, it's more fun when you're beating people wheel to wheel, and you're having those kind of battles instead of like just sitting out there doing your own thing.
Yeah.
I think that's something. I think it's a weekend for sure for Ferrari to forget.
What happened? Like, and that's the downside about being at the bar is you can't hear any of the radio talk unless they've got it on the screen. That's why I was questioning, like, what happened? What did they say? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, from the beginning, the car, something was wrong for the car from the beginning.
On Charles' car. Yeah. I don't think Carlos, he did not get a good start. He went down to 15th by lap 2. He lost 3 spots. Charles, he had an engine issue. And so it was weird because Brian, his new engineer, came on and he's like, we're seeing something strange with the engine. We're checking. And then like Charles comes back and he's like, is everything okay with the engine? What's going on? And they're like, no, it's not. Nothing. I mean, no, what'd they say? He said, is everything okay? And they're like, it's not good or something to that effect.
I saw that. I did see the one banter I did see. It's like something about the pace isn't good. Well, what's the pace? Well, it's not as good. He goes, I don't want an answer like that. How much is it? Well, you're losing 5 seconds. I like that. But he's like, just tell me the number. Don't just give me a general.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he did say, he's like, how much are we losing on the straights? And he's like, quite a bit. And Charles like, that's not the answer that I want. Just tell me. Brian's like, okay, half second. And then Charles is like, it's impossible for me to overtake. So he was just kind of there, right? And then there goes Alex Albon, there goes Yuki, all passing Charles. I'm like, what is going on? Then Charles goes into the pits with a 42-second pit stop because his engine died out. Completely stopped. It completely stopped, and they were trying to get it going again. And prior to this race, he and Lando were the only drivers to score points in every race. And I feel like as soon as somebody throws a stat like that out there, then something like this happens. Like you just lose it. But then the safety car comes, like after that safety car, it starts to rain, right? And so everyone but Charles is on inters. They put him on hards.
What was that? And they just said like 5 minutes before that, rain's going to start back up in 9 minutes. Almost like I was asking the ladies I'm with, didn't they just say rain's coming? Why did they put him on hards?
Exactly. Everybody else, their engineers are telling them like, just manage the tires. There's going to be rain coming. There's going to be rain. Just do the best that you can. And here's Ferrari, clowns that we are, is like, you know what you need is hards. And then he gets out there and Brian's like, just do your best to stay on track. Rain's going to stop in 2 laps and then you can go faster. It's just like, no.
What lady was with me, she loves Ferrari. She goes, I was like, what is that? She goes, that's Ferrari. We don't have a strategy. And I'm like, that's what my friend would say.
Yes. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Like nobody looked at the weather. Nobody's listening to what the other teams are telling their drivers.
Or what F1 TV or Sky Sports or any of them are saying. Weather.com.
Any of it. Like, come on, people. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So then they brought it back to the pits, I think, for a minute. But then I guess he, at one of those points, either after he was on the hards or after he came back and switched, he asked them again. And he's like, if I'm losing 1.5 seconds on the straights, why am I out here? I would rather just stop. So lap 43, they called it. It was just an absolute shit race for Charles. And he was not happy during qualifying because he felt like that issues there with the team. And then I haven't fully listened to his post-race, not his interview with the media, but the one that they do with Ferrari. And he was not happy. And yesterday, his little press person was like, here, read this statement to the media. This is what we want you to say. And he looked at her and he was like, I'll say what I want. Like, no.
I heard about that.
I'm good. I'll say what I want. He's pissed. He's pissed the whole weekend, the whole entire weekend. And then you've got Carlos who gets into it with Valtteri. And so the end of his front plate falls off. Or his front plate falls off, like on the front wing. So less aero. And then he just spins. I don't know what happened. He lost control is what he said. Spun right into Alex. That sucked. He was able to get back on track, but that was it. He was done. Out on lap 55. Done. Just a horrible, horrible weekend. And what ticks me off, and we'll talk about constructor points and all that in just a little bit, but we were so close to Red Bull in the constructor. Charles was getting very close to Max in the driver championship. Carlos was only 1 point behind Checo, and thank God Checo didn't score any points either. But still, like, now you've got other drivers that are gaining on you. Like, we just lost so many opportunities. It was ridiculous. Absolutely.
So many good things did not score. It's interesting looking at the points when we get to that. That's just
Okay.
the odd, not movement and movement. It was really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think there were quite a, except for McLaren, everybody was kind of on their own at the front, like at the very front. Like when you talk about Max, Checo was down in like what, 14th, or no, he had to have been like 15th. Well, Ocon moved back. So where would Checo have started? 15th, 16th?
And
14th?
Checo started, yeah.
14th?
I forget where he started. He started, wait, I've got it up. So Checo started at 16th.
Okay, 16th. And then George, like Lewis wasn't too far behind, but he was back a little ways. And then you had the two McLaren, so they had each other. And then V Carb was next, right? So Daniel, Yuki was a little behind.
Yeah, it was George, Max, Lando, Oscar, Danny, Fernando, Lewis, Yuki, Lance, Alex, Charles, Carlos, Logan, K-Mag, yeah. But yeah, and then the end is just crazy.
It was nuts. Just really quickly with V Carb, like Daniel, he was kind of creeping forward, so he had that 5-second penalty, which he started under the safety car. So I don't think that affected him as much as it could have. He had built up a decent, like a few seconds gap on Ocon, so I think like that kind of helped him. But what I thought was interesting on lap 65, Daniel was told that he could fight Yuki, just keep it clean. And he, at that point, he was a half second behind. And it wasn't too long after that Yuki, that's where he went over the grass and hit the yellow barrier or little sign, which was styrofoam, but you know, it was still ended up out there on track for the last 2 laps. And then, then he was out of the points. So, I mean, major props to Hulkenberg for not hitting Yuki. And I think there was a couple other cars that went through there, but Yuki was on the same inters for over 40 laps, I think.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Laps. But I mean, I thought it was interesting that they were like, go ahead and fight. I don't know if, I don't know if that's what caused Yuki to, I don't know if he locked up. I don't know what happened there, but Daniel finished 8th. Daniel finished in the points again. And Yuki was up there in 7th pretty much the entire time. So that, again, would have been great points for Yuki.
It would have been. It would have.
Really good. But, he's also got his contract for a year. And I think everybody was super happy about that. So, yay. Let's talk about Mercedes really quick before we talk about Red Bull. But George killed it this weekend.
He did. And he didn't screw up. He didn't run into a wall.
He didn't. But that usually happens when somebody says something about signs. So, so there's that. But I mean, George had to work for that podium today.
He did.
Like, talk about an up and down race. Like, he got off, like we said, got off to a great start at the beginning. But, like Lando got past him at one point. He was like down in like 4th or 5th. Like Lewis got past him at one point. And he had to really work throughout the whole race.
And he was working hard. And I know it's a lot to do with, F1 and whoever wants to show the radio, but they didn't go to him on the radio much. So I don't know if he just wasn't on the radio much or if they just didn't go to him much. But my guess, he was concentrating really hard.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, I know at one point when he messed up something, I don't remember when it was, and all they showed was like a, 4-letter curse word, and his engineer was like, focus, George, focus. You've got to focus. But I think that little back and forth between him and Lando, like Lando got past him, but then Lando locked up and, it gave George an opportunity to get back into second. And then, yeah, it was just so much fun to watch that. But he had to have been exhausted by the end.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
It was good when Hamilton got up there. So, I mean, Mercedes got some good points this weekend. So that was good. I mean,
yeah. Well, they look like they've definitely done something with that car. Like,
yeah.
We've seen them, I feel like, in practice and stuff, looking like they're going to be really good. And then in quali, they kind of, and that's what happened with Lewis. I feel like, Lewis kind of started towards the bottom of the top 10, but George getting up there. And then, during the race, like George was definitely fighting back. And he knows that there were errors that he made that probably prevented him from being in second. And he's very aware of that. Like hitting that curb where then not only did Oscar get past him, but Lewis got past him. Like,
yeah,
that was a bit of a mistake, but he got it back. Like a lap later, he's right. Oh, sorry. I snapped my fingers and Scooby's like, what? But they've definitely done something. Yeah. He said he actually apologized to his team at the end. He said, it was an ugly race on his part, and he apologized. I was like, oh,
for the P3, he did great.
He did do good. And this is their first podium of the year. And again, it's fun to see another team up on that podium. But yeah, so there is, and I don't think right before we started recording, we hadn't heard anything, but they are investigating the incident that George and Oscar had at the Wall of Champions. Don't know if it will change the outcome of the race, but last time we checked, I don't think they had made a decision yet.
Nothing has changed. I'm on their website right now, and the standings are still the same.
Okay. I think it would be weird if they changed it. I'm even trying to remember like what was the incident, but I don't know. But Lewis overall, he was kind of in the hunt there for a half a second on the podium. He finished fourth, but in the post race,
he's lamenting at one of his worst drives.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say.
Well, yeah.
Yep. So he was not happy. He's happy that the car's progressing, but not happy with the weekend, not with his drive, none of it. And I think too, like Ocon, Lewis is leaving. He's already announced, he's already kind of said, hey, George has the upgrades. I don't. I'm not going to out-qualify George, blah, blah, blah. I also wondered if Lewis had stayed in third for, more than a hot minute, if they were going to make him let George go in front of him. I was kind of like, ooh, I want to see how this plays out, because George started on pole. Would they make Lewis, give George the position? Oh my goodness, I went purple again. Oh yeah.
We talked too much.
My phone was sitting up there too. My phone is hot as heck. Okay. Oh yeah. All right, well, Red Bull, we can talk about them really quickly. Max won. Woo.
And Sergio didn't finish.
And Sergio did not finish. Oh yeah. Just craziness. Hang on. Yeah, so Perez and Gasly at the beginning had some contact, some bits and pieces were flying, but I don't remember exactly what it was. So he had that, but then how did he
didn't seem to really just recover from it since then. Like he just didn't. There just wasn't a lot. They didn't really focus on him, so you just didn't see a lot out of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a little bit of that contact that was investigated, and they said it was there. Nothing came of it, but it was pretty much like off into the grass and like over on the side, and there was like parts of cars. But then the FIA is like, race contact, and that was it.
Race incident, and it was on the first lap, so I get it. That tends to be their norm. But yeah, like Max overall, like he was complaining about his car a little bit. He complained about his car, during practice and quali, but whatever. And he around lap 50 was complaining about, he said he can't touch the curbs because he's going to knock himself out.
And I kept saying, touch the curbs, hit the curbs.
Oh, that's too funny. But yeah, so Perez, like, he hit his back wing. And I mean, like, that thing was like barely hanging on.
It was like off. I was like, ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then he had to go change that and put him out. So he finished pretty low down.
Yeah, he had to have.
Oh, he didn't finish. They took him out at that point.
Right. That's right.
That's right. When he hit his wing, they took him out. So he didn't finish. That's right. He didn't finish.
Yeah. But Max got his 60th win in F1. So that's exciting.
That's awesome.
I hope somebody other than him wins in Barcelona. I just want
Since we'll be there.
Yeah. I want somebody different. Yeah. Aston Martin
to win.
I think Aston Martin was just kind of there. Yeah. So, and
they did better. I mean, they both got points. So let's just put that way. And Alonso finished higher than Lance. So
there you go. And Lando, driver of the day again. Like, I need to count how many podiums he's had and how many times he's been driver of the day, because it's been a lot. For sure.
It's nice to see Aston Martin both at the top and Alpine both at the top. Like I told you, I think I mentioned to you, like I was walking the dog the other day, and there's somebody my neighborhood drives an Alpine.
Oh, how funny!
I was like, I know that logo.
Alpine
I've never seen an Alpine in the world.
You know what's so interesting? You know, the golf tournament I go to every July. So Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes are investors in Alpine. They will be there, or at least for sure Travis will be. But also Rob McElhaney is another investor in Alpine, and he's going to be there. So I'm getting myself an Alpine hat, and I'm going to start having the investors sign it.
There you go.
So that'll be kind of fun. Like, yay.
Well, there's our top 10 for the race, and they did not have their beautiful little pictures, so I just screenshot this off their website. So it's kind of crappy, but there's our top 10 drivers and our top 10 for the constructors.
Ferrari lost like 10 points. That's Max. Yeah.
Max, then Charles.
Sainz is ahead of. Okay.
Perez, yeah.
Piastri, he's still kind of far back. I mean, for as consistent as Piastri is, I'm kind of surprised he's in 6th place.
Yeah.
81 to Perez's 107 in 5th. But Russell, that has to be a nice little jump for him. He's up to 69 points. Alonso and Yuki in the top 10.
Look at Yuki.
Love it. And poor Kick Sauber, still the only team with no
points.
No points. But Alpine now with 5. Haas with 7. Ay. Williams needed those points today. I love Carlos Sainz, but for crying out loud, I wonder if James will be rethinking his all his flattery and stuff this week. Oh, look at all you see is
Oh my goodness. So we have next week is an off week, right? Next weekend?
Off week, because then we've got back to back.
And the first one to start is Barcelona, which will be in person, and we'll have to figure out. Well, we'll be in person to record. Let's see if we can do any live broadcasting. I already have a group of people in Berlin is just waiting to see what we find out. So,
yes. It will be maybe during the pit walk or whatever we could.
Yeah, because we have the pit
walk.
We'll
see how busy it is. But yeah. So,
all right. Well, Miss Lilac, you look like lilac, pinky purple to me. So
look at my hair. Like, yeah. Next week we'll talk for sure about the 2026 regulations. Maybe there'll be some more news on how the teams are feeling about that. And who knows? Maybe we'll have even more driver silly season stuff.
Maybe we'll know where Carlos is going before we get to Barcelona. I doubt it, but we'll see.
Also, I woke today. I mean, I kind of wish Carlos Sainz would have done better, but I am happy for Carlos Alcaraz, who just won the French Open today. So, yay, another Spaniard. Why do I always like the Spaniards? I've been on this guy's train since last year. Like, another Spaniard.
Another Spaniard. All right, well, there we go. It's a long one today, but that was a great race. It was worth it.
Yeah. Oh, what a weekend. Oh, my gosh. Barcelona needs to bring it.
There we go. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
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 If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and a review. To stay up to date with She Loves the Grid and get all the behind the scenes content, you can follow us on Instagram at She Loves the Grid and on Facebook at facebook.com/She Loves the Grid. Thank you for joining us for the ride this week.